Now I'm hot. There we go. Hey, welcome in, everyone. Apex Online Racing is proud to bring you rFactor 2 with some Formula 1 action here at the Circuit de Catalunya in, the heart of Spain and all that. Luckily for you guys, actually, today we are joined by Nino. How are you doing, man?
Hello, everybody in the chat. I'm glad to be back. Unfortunately, wasn't here in the last race due to scheduling, but I'm glad to be back, and I'm glad to be with you here, Curtis.
Yeah, it's good to have you, man. Always good to have you. We had quite the run through the last... What in the world? This thing isn't going. There it goes. Aha! There we go. Yeah, we had quite the run through at the last round in Bahrain. It was definitely an odd race. Had some oddities happen. We're hoping to clean some of that up here shortly, but we arrive here in Spain, the third round of the championship season. We'll talk about the standings and all of that in just a little while. Taking a look at Sven Laumann from the Rookie Monster squad. Apparently, the drivers of that particular team hate the livery. I think they're stupid. That's a fantastic livery.
I personally like the livery as well. It looks clean. It looks different.
Yeah, it definitely looks. It's original. I like it.
Yeah.
Then again, usually that team does have some pretty original liveries most of the time. Just kind of a quick rundown. We do have 16 drivers here showing up this weekend. A lot of frustration from last weekend, I'm sure, but many of them showing up again. Alfie Lawrenson already on top of the leaderboards with a 118.4. So that he'll be one to try to catch here soon. He's been showing a whole ton of speed as of late. As there you go, Craig Baxter taking the lead already. $117.4, I believe. Now, Nino, you were hanging out with the drivers a little earlier. What can they expect around a circuit like this? It's definitely got a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah, Catalonia is definitely a circuit where probably like Melbourne in the terms where not many people see it as maybe their favorite track, and will want to do well, want to try their best at this track. Obviously, Catalonia is personally one of my favorite tracks to see, to personally see racing. So to be honest, I think we'll definitely see. I want to see some surprises here. Obviously, we'll most likely see Craig Baxter here. Take the pole position and be up front, but right behind him, it might be a free for all.
Yeah, I kind of think it will as well, but we'll have to see as time goes on. Got about 7.5 minutes or so through Q1, so if you're not familiar with how this works here, 3 compounds of tires, simply a soft, medium, and a hard, and then the wets are obviously, if we need them. Haven't needed them yet, but the general idea is that there is a Q1, then the top 10 will go into Q2, and we have had some updates to the overlay. A bunch of stuff being worked on in the background, guys. I hope you all appreciate it. We're taking a look at O'Henlin from Vulcan Racing, trying to make his way around turn 3, tricky corner. But yeah, some updates to the overlay. I've added a couple of things as well. Just trying out some new stuff. Do find this particular stream to be a little bit more experimental, so if you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to let us know. We'll do our best to integrate, or if it's a terrible suggestion, obviously we're going to throw it away because we're savages like that. We do know, Nino, I don't know if you knew this, but there is a bit of a bug with this particular track. You can see the yellow flag appear underneath the time left, and which will be the lap counter. This track is bugged. If there's any yellow flag, it'll just say Sector 1, so we don't know exactly where it's going to be. And for some reason, as people slow down, get this, Nino, this is hilarious. As people slow down for Sector 3 and then the final chicane, the track or the game will think that there is a caution or that something's wrong. So it will say that it'll actually flash the yellow, really for no reason. It's fantastic. Well done, track maker, whoever that is.
Wow, that is very nice to hear. Hopefully that won't come into affecting anybody in the race.
No, it really shouldn't.
Like to see that happen.
I don't think anybody really pays attention to the yellow flags
Yep.
when there's sector flags, which actually
true.
makes a lot of sense. You know, you're trying to concentrate almost all the time. This car's definitely a handful. So, have you had a chance to drive the car yet, Nino?
I've not. Obviously, I know. I've heard about many people's I wouldn't say complaints, but they've had several difficulties with getting used to it compared to the previous cars. So we've already had 2 races, so definitely like to see who is better adapted to this new car.
We'll have to see as time goes on. It is only round 3 here. There are 46 laps around the Circuit de Catalunya. Honestly, a challenging track. We did hear a little bit about how the rear of the car is definitely going to take some wear, and that's more or less just kind of the way this car works around this track. We should be seeing some pit stops fairly soon. It all depends, obviously, on how brutal these guys are on tires. But to go fast here, Nino, at least in my opinion, would be to try to brake as late as possible while still keeping momentum in all of the corners.
Yeah, you definitely want to try the late braking here. Obviously, Barcelona is a track where you can sort of exploit that more than, let's say, other tracks. And you probably won't be punished. But still, obviously, you don't want to get the braking wrong. Otherwise, you end up you have several gravel traps here that's very difficult to get out of.
No, that's not the right thing. Stop loading the wrong thing. What are you doing? Sorry, I yell at my computer every once in a while. I think it's good for both myself and the computer. Anyways, yeah, the Spanish Grand Prix has been here since 1992, if I'm not mistaken. The track also hosts a lot of testing and things of that nature. It being in Spain allows for good year-round weather, so that's not necessarily super surprising. But there is a very tricky front stretch here, and it all comes down to how you get through the exit, as we're watching Morgan Soom have a bit of an off there. He'll escape back and try again. You have to get that exit on that final corner absolutely perfect, or else you're not going to be able to make the pass that you're trying to make. Even with DRS active, we've seen where passes will fail when they go for it, and obviously you have to kind of tiptoe your way around certain places, but you also have to know when to push in order to gain more time. But being able to brake late and have the car set up for a good pivot throughout the middle of the corner, especially on some of these faster corners, will net you the most speed. The problem is that the rear of the car, being so sensitive in this particular setup, can cause some issues. But I can tell you this, Nino, we are coming up here. Less than 2 minutes left. Right now it's Baxter at the lead of the field, and then Sam Carpenter, Scott Davison, Brandon O'Henlin, and Alfie Lawrenson showing more speed.
Yeah, I think obviously no surprise to see Craig Baxter up front, but having Sam Carpenter and Scott Davison right behind him is sort of what I'd mostly expect from most races. Obviously, when I was here in Australia, they had they had very eventful races that they were further back in the grid, but that's where I expect them to be normally. Alfie, nice to see Alfie Lawrenson up there as well. I think he missed out on the podium in Australia, and I wasn't here in Bahrain. Oh, he's just crashed.
Yeah.
I think it was in Bahrain that he got a podium, if I correctly. I wasn't there.
He did, yeah. He finished third, made a massive run from the back of the field. He was up 12 positions throughout the whole race. It was a fantastic run. Even had the lead there for a little bit.
Yeah, that is very nice to see of him. Obviously, I'd like to see him challenge for those podium positions again. Brandon as well. It's nice to see him up there as well. For the others, Max is Max Lister. Obviously, he's shown his pace in the first couple of races. I don't know how he did in Bahrain, but definitely like to see, maybe just like in Melbourne, if he can take a different strategy towards with everybody else, except everybody else, that could maybe put him up a few positions.
Max Lister actually ended up 13th. He had damage, if I remember right. He was caught up in a wreck. So unfortunately for Max, he will have a bit of a battle as we move into the race itself. Drivers just finishing up their final laps here in Q1. Right now, it's looking like it's going to be Baxter, Carpenter, Davison, Lister in 4th. O'Henlin nabbing 5th from Lawrenson, who ended up 6th. Then James Costello, who's known as Kazi in the F1 2018 realm of things here at Apex Online Racing. The commentator actually racing this time out. He grabbed 7th. Max Shepard in an 8th. With Sam Rowlett, looks like he's going to be in 9th. Phil Kraus in 10th, but he's still out on the track. With people missing is going to be Liam Mangan, Morgan Soom, Evan Rice, Sven Laumann, Phil Schiff, and David Brown. Look like they're going to be missing Q2. Ooh, Philip Kraus jumping up into 7th. Well done.
That's nice. There's several new names that I can see that weren't in Melbourne. Sam Rowlett's one of them. Nice to see what he can do. Obviously, we can see he's made it into Q2. Yeah, and then there's some others, obviously, like Morgan Soam and Philip Schiff. Definitely like to see how they can take an approach that they've been eliminated in Q1.
So Q2 gets underway here very shortly as we take a look at one of the features that I helped create here at AOR rFactor 2 is just simply this without anything. I've been working on a couple of things, little workflow things, experimented with it in the last race as to how to do that, and then forgot to turn the tower back on when we went into the race for like 4 laps. So nobody knew where anybody was, and of course, neither did I. But yes, a couple of new features in the overlay. Pay attention for those as we move into Q2. And we will be bringing you a couple of other things as we go over the standings during warm-up and fill you in on the very first 2 races of this particular season. And there's the changeover. You can see now, once the tower loads in, there you go. It took everybody else out of the tower, and we just have the top 10. Right. So, Baxter, Carpenter, Davison, Lister, O'Henlin, Lawrenson, Kraus, Costello, and Shepard, as well as Sam Rowlett, going to be making their bids for their position in the top 10. Everybody trying to get a little bit of space. As Baxter going to move past, I believe that's Lawrenson. We'll have to see. But yeah, you mentioned a lot of newcomers showing up to this race. Most of those names, almost all of those names actually, showed up to Bahrain, Nino. So we got an idea as to how they run. And if you guys want to see where the standings are, I can go ahead and put those in chat for you. And Nino, I'll send it over to you as well.
Okay.
It's the same page as last time, everyone, in case you're wondering. Try to get over to all my proper windows here. Here we are. Right. There you go. Link in the chat for the standings. It's current standings. Feel free to cycle through. We'll go through them a little bit during warm-up, but we have Just over 5 minutes left. Obviously, nobody's set it quite set a time yet. Nino, what are you expecting, man? I know, obviously, Baxter towards the front, but we're seeing a lot of speed from a variety of different drivers today, and it could be a surprise, I think, at least for the top 5.
Yeah, definitely. That when you're from the second to fifth positions, there's definitely going to be a big variety. There'll be at least like 5 or 6 people fighting for like second place. At least you got Sam Carpenter, Scott Davidson, Brandon O'Hanlon, and Alfie as well. Max Lister. Hopefully he can get his pace up. You'd expect at least those 5 to battle up for who gets that one front row position alongside Craig Baxter.
The third sector here at this track in this particular car is so very important. We mentioned it a couple of times. Now it chews up the rear tires. Most of that comes from the acceleration, but this car does like to get a little bit loose as we have Baxter cross the line. A 117.061. That'll be the time to beat, I think. Nobody was able to get close to that during warm-up, or I'm sorry, during the previous qualifying session. So we'll have to see as time moves on. Lawrenson taking second place. Max Lister just crossing the line right now. Nabbing, looks like third. Everybody getting sorted out right now. No, he drops down to fourth. First lap times coming through. We should be seeing Philip Kraus. He's just coming out of the pits. He's going to come out on the medium tires, and I think that's a great strategy for him, who's not showing a whole ton of speed, but wants to have a chance towards the end.
Gap between Sam Carpenter and Craig Baxter is currently at 3 tenths. That's very close. I expected the gap to be much larger, I'm not going to lie, between the rest of the field towards Baxter. So it's nice to see Sam Carpenter finding some new speed there from him.
Sam in the garage at this particular moment. That's Sam Carpenter, that is. We have 2 Sams now. We can't just say Sam.
Yeah.
Great way to get people confused. Have a look at Alfie Lawrenson, who's been showing a ton of speed, but he's out there on the mediums. So just trying to get the lowest lap time that he can, but I have a feeling most people are going to try for the medium to soft transition. I have a feeling this is going to be a 2-stop race, though. So trying to plan that out and making sure that you're good for the end is going to be absolutely paramount. And saving those tires as well. If you can save the mediums for as long as possible, you might be able to go medium, soft, soft. But I expect most people going medium, medium, then to soft, more than anything else. You can see that, Scott Davison came out on the soft. That's what he set his time at. So I have a feeling he might try for a medium run, but I don't know. No, actually, he's coming back out on softs. Guess he's going to try to get as close to Baxter as he can. We kind of trundle along here. Everybody trying their best. Brandon O'Henlin slotting into 6th. That's some good speed from Brandon. Oh, he's in the garage. Oh, here he goes. The Vulcan driver coming through nicely. He's got his teammate right behind him in the standings for now. We'll go over team standings as well as we move into warm-up, like I mentioned before. Try to cover as much as we can here, Nino. And sometimes you get lost in the sauce a little bit with all the speed being shown by the front of the field. There's usually some good racing in the mid-pack, and that's really where the standings start to heat up as well.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, you want to, like the 2 Vulcan drivers, obviously expect them, try and get them right in the midfield after the points. Obviously, those who've been eliminated in Q1, obviously their main aim is try and get into the points. You'll definitely see some retirements, which could push them up into the points as well. So, just finishing the race is a bonus.
Just like we saw at the last round, yeah, that is true. We have 14. Oh, we had 4 retirements last round. I can actually check that real quick, just because I have it up. Yeah, we had 4 retirements and 15 racers. So the only one not scoring points was Philip Schiff, who's got to be kicking himself, but he did have a rough go at it, if I'm honest with you. As we watch Philip Kraus just absolutely bottle the chicane there. Tough spot there. As qualifying is just about to end, Philip will be able to have another go at it. And he's on the mediums. So let's see if he's able to improve. Let's go on board with him, in fact. Coming around the turn 3 sweeper. Otherwise known as Renault, and into Repsol. Gotta watch out for the front. It can wash out here as it loads up and then unloads as we go a little bit off camber. Into Seat. Big little squirt of throttle as they make their way down to Worth. Phil looking pretty smooth. He's had issues before with steering input, but looks like he's solved that before and through Kempsa. Don't want to go too far outside there. That could be a penalty. Kaisa, I believe this is the slowest corner, at least it certainly feels like it. Looks like Phil has his rear suspension just a touch on the soft side, the front end jumping up and losing a little bit of grip as he got on the gas. His way down to the chicane now. A lot more tidy through there. Snaps his way through the second part, but he loses a lot of speed. And through New Holland, the final corner. Let's see where he ends up. Doesn't look like there's any improvement there for Philip Kraus as we move into warm-up here very quickly. Expected? Pretty much. Pretty much the expected result, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much the grid that I was expecting, to be honest. Yeah, Craig Baxter taking pole position there. Sam Carpenter and Scott Davidson. Those are the two you want to really see. The only drivers have come in within a second of Baxter's time, so you can expect those to, so long as they have an incident-free race to be battling for that second position, third. Max List and Alfie Lawrenson, probably the best of the rest, just right behind the top three, and the rest feel down. Obviously, you got the two Vulcan drivers, Brandon Hennon and Max Shepard, right there, right next to each other. And nice to see James Costello up there in sixth. That's a decent result for him.
That's a fantastic result, actually. He's had trouble trying to get used to the car. He's obviously a lot more used to Formula 1 2018, whereas this particular car definitely handles a whole ton different than the somewhat sim known as F1 2018, he said with a huge kappa. But yeah, so we're pretty much going to go into warm-up here pretty soon. This is the time where the drivers, if you're not familiar with what happens in warm-up, this is the time where the drivers figure out their race setups, make final adjustments, and figure out what actually works for them, as well as practice their pit entrance, make sure they know where their pit stall is, as that remains constant throughout the weekend, quote-unquote weekend, I should say. And they make sure that everything else is good to go. What do you say we take a look at the standings here, Nino, as I make sure everything that I want to use is in order. And there we are. Check this out, everyone. Yeah!
There you go. Obviously, you have Craig Baxter right in the lead after 2 victories. He's on 50 points and literally double the points of second place Alfie Lawrenson on 25. And it's a close race right behind him. You got Scott Davidson, the other Defiance Racing driver, on 24. Max Lister on 18, only from the points from Australia. Liam Mangan 16. Max Shepard also 16. Nick Brackey on 15.
And then you kind of get into the people who have not finished races. You know, Nick Brackey, Brandon O'Henlin didn't race last weekend. And you have Angel Benagas, who had a decent outing at Bahrain. And Tom Hooper also had a decent outing. And then you have Evan Rice, who did crash out of Australia, but did race and managed 4 points there at Bahrain. You get kind of down into the people who haven't raced much the last couple of weekends, and that's kind of about it. The big story, I think, there is Sam Carpenter in 19th, a DQ, and then DNF'd. A huge wreck, actually, at Bahrain. It was admittedly kind of funny the way that worked out, but yeah, that's just kind of the way things go sometimes. the other thing that we would like to go over as I switch over to the team standings, you can see I'm actually loading this right off of the website, which isn't exactly the best way to do this, but it's the only way that I have for now, while rFactor and Studio 397 actually work on some plugins that we can actually pull this from the game. So that's what I'm saying. We have great things coming, but as a bit of a preview, here's what we have. Defiance Racing obviously topping the chart for now.
Yeah, obviously, I believe Defiance Racing have the best two drivers on the grid in terms of just raw pace, and you expect them to have the top of the standings by a 40-point margin already after 2 races. So there you can see kind of dominance that they're showing. North-South right behind them. Obviously, Max Lister's been the contributor for most of that, but Liam Mangum has shown that he can pull off some good performances if he's on his form. And you got Vulcan and Team Tepper right there battling for third. 1 point between them.
We should also note, the team, quote-unquote, of AOR test car is in there. That's because we're actually pulling this from rFactor and compiling the results that way. rFactor considers that particular car its own team, so you can actually take that out of the table. Just something that the programmers that actually drive it in this particular field haven't quite figured out how to do, and it's just one of those things that Studio 397 is actually working on to be able to make that customizable. And there's a lot of ideas being floated around, and being able to help out leagues like this actually goes a long way in determining championship order and things like that. And it allows for easier ways to organize the league as well. This stuff is actually being pulled and then published on our website at apexonlineracing.com. In live time. They can actually do this live. So it's all kinds of cool stuff coming to not only rFactor, but Apex Online Racing in the rFactor 2 division of things. So please feel free, stay tuned. We'll be updating as things go on, but I have to admit, I'm really excited about the fact that they can actually update championship standings based on current position even. Not at the moment, but it is being worked on.
Yeah, that's very exciting to see that that's possible. We'll definitely be wanting to be checking that out once it's available. There's definitely new info that we can use.
So we're kind of just cycling through drivers through warm-up. This is all kind of new to me, so I'm still getting used to the broadcast side of things. A couple of things have to be done in order to make sure everything looks nice and smooth. But having a look here at Phil Kraus, who unfortunately doesn't quite have a perfect setup for today. Didn't have a whole lot of time to practice work and things like that, but showing a lot of speed already. Apparently he's made a couple of adjustments as warm-up has gone on and through qualifying and things, and he's been able to either get used to the car or just figure out some speed through here. And that's another thing that people are going to have to watch out for, is the dirty air going through these corners. It's really going to require some spacing, and we've seen some crazy accidents and odd things happen to drivers who weren't quite used to that.
Yeah, definitely. When they've had some moments where they've lost control of their car just for being there, and they've got to figure out a way to position themselves correctly, just so they can obviously go for overtakes, but at the same time just not hinder your own race by just being in the wrong place.
You can see the driver there behind Phil Cross caught in the wash, the aerodynamic wash, and wasn't able to quite make that corner. So yeah, it's going to require a bit of strategy and knowing when to strike and then when to back off is going to become extremely prevalent here at Catalunya. We should be nearing the end of warm-up here as we kind of just take a look at some of the newer drivers in Phoenix Racing showing up here with Philip Schiff. Fantastic liveried car. That's a huge crash, though.
No, I've just seen that.
Oof. Yikes. Oh, another thing that we've been working on, Nino, is replay.
Yes.
If I can, I gotta get back to this and do this. So I've tuned the replay to 30 seconds previous whenever I hit the button for it. This is pretty much what happened to the Infinix driver coming through the sweeper here. Yeah, he just loses, swaps out on him right into the wall. That's a brutal one. And so we'll head back to live. It's just another thing for me to make sure I do correctly. Bring up the table just so that you guys can kind of get a feel for everything. We've obviously added the timing. We've added the tires and all of that. The pit has come through. We haven't had any DNFs, but there's a feature for that as well, trying to make it less confusing for you guys that happen to glance at the screen every once in a while listening to us, and make it a little easier for you guys to get a bit of an update as well. So the cool part is, that we have a little bit of freedom here. We're able to mess with things and try different things, use different programs to bring the viewer a better experience than, say, other simulations. I'll just say other simulations. See Liam trying to make sure he doesn't mangan himself into the pit wall like he did in Baku. He'll never live that down, mostly because we'll make sure he doesn't. I'm going to have to put that in a video, so that you guys can, so we can just remind people every time it happens.
Yeah, that incident is, it's coined to him now. That is under his name. He can't run away from that anymore.
Sven Lyman's been showing a lot of speed lately. I expect him to finish at least in the top 10 for sure, but it would be great to see him in a top 5, as I don't believe he's been able to quite put that together yet. No, he hasn't. Sitting 12th in the points. The Rookie Monster squad been putting in some work. And Sam Rowlett as well, who did finish in the top 10, obviously, at Bahrain last time. So he's got a little bit of more experience in this particular car at a very tough track. Bahrain will force you to get used to things, but these Rookie Monsters guys expect a lot more out of their drivers. I've been a part of that team before for their endurance squad, and let's just say the practice was very rigorous. Have a look at Morgan Sohm. Another newcomer here. Starting to show some promise, but still trying to figure out the car, it looks like. And, trying to set up this car for a specific driving style is extremely tough. It's sensitive to every setup change, which is good. I mean, that's a good thing. We want that. But if you're not expecting something, the car will just wash out completely and take you completely by surprise. I don't know if you've sat in on the drivers trying to figure out a setup, but it is sometimes entertaining as they rage all over the track.
Yeah, definitely. I've not seen them on track doing it, but I've definitely been in voice chat whilst they're doing it. It's not a pleasant sight to listen to.
Or it's extremely entertaining. One or the other.
Yeah, it's definitely one or the other. It can go either way. You're absolutely right.
Guys, if you would like to join this league, you can. Check out apexonlineracing.com for all the information. You can download the mod on the Steam Workshop. If you want to give it a try, you can check it out in single-player mode. The server itself is closed. You do have to sign up for the league in order to get access to the server. And, of course, give it a try. I highly recommend it. If you guys have never tried sim racing before, this is a great place to start. If you guys are maybe used to F1 2018 or Project Cars, maybe Assetto Corsa or something along those lines, you'll be a little bit more familiar with how these cars and this particular mod works. But setting up the car can be a challenge, but I can tell you from an extreme amount of experience, it is fantastic when you finally do nail that setup and you start putting in the fast laps. And then competing on Saturday evenings or mornings or afternoons, wherever you happen to be in the world, is a fantastic way to give it all a shot. As you can see, we're just about to get underway here at Catalunya. The Well, okay. That was odd to watch.
Was that Philip? Just
I think that was Phil trying to. Who was that NASCAR driver that backed into his pit stall at Talladega?
can't remember, but it was definitely a pleasant sight.
It was fantastic. He got a little sideways and completely spun the car around to put himself into his own pit box backwards. It's pretty funny. I'm gonna have to find that. But yeah, I don't know why, but for some reason we've gone back into warm up. At this particular point, there may have been a little bit of an issue with the server trying to get everyone squared away, or it looks like maybe a driver might have crashed out. I don't know if you can see chat or not.
Yeah, I think it was just restart. It was restarted back or something. I think it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're just kind of waiting for the action to get underway here at Catalunya. Nino, do you have any expectations? I know we went over some of it, but do you have any other things, maybe notables that you're watching out for as we let the server administrators figure out what's going on?
Alfie Lawrenson, that's one guy I want to pay close attention to. He's had two very good races. Obviously, it was unlucky to kind of fade away from the podium places in Australia, and he did get the podium in Bahrain. So
okay,
don't know if a podium position can be achievable here. I think it's within his reach, and he'll be very close. So definitely want to see him fighting for that.
Last season, I was trying to look up standings from last season, but yeah, he showed a whole ton of speed as the race is just about to get underway. So Alfie looking for a good position. I expect a little bit more out of Phil Kraus as well. Costello's been showing a lot of speed lately, and really the newcomers are the ones that are going to be tested here today to make sure that their setups are perfect and ready to go. So if you guys don't know, there's a 30-second gap or window with which you get to load your race setup. You cannot make any changes to the setup itself, but you can load in a different setup. And the tires, correct tires being chosen. And everyone joins the grid to start their sighting laps. So let's go through the standings. It'll be Craig Baxter starting on the pole with Sam Carpenter starting next to him. Scott Davison and Max Lister for row 2 with Alfie Lawrence and James Costello, the teammates, starting behind them on row 3. Go ahead, Nino.
Oh, sorry. You got row 4, Brandon O'Headland, Max Shepard. Row 5, you got Philip Kraus and Sam Rowlett. Row 6, you got Liam Mangum and Morgan Soam. Next, you got Evan Rice and Sven Laumann. And right at the back, you got David Brown and Philip Schiff.
For some reasons, Rowlett is still in the pits. I don't believe he has a penalty. Let's double check.
Oh, they're both in it. Okay.
Yeah, it's David Brown has a back of grid, so he'll be starting from the back, obviously. And Schiff has to start from the pit lane. We had that last race, and for those who may have missed that, as the race starts, as the cars will pass by you through the start, then you are able to take off from the pit lane. You can go to the end of the pit lane, but that's it. Take off from there. It is definitely quite the penalty. I forget exactly what happened with that as to why he incurred that, because I believe it was from Australia. There may have been a wreck or something along those lines. We mentioned Alfie Lawrenson. There he is. Be on the lookout for Team Tepa. We'll try to cover him as much as possible. His teammate is right behind him, and James Costello. A good showing for Vulcan, starting next to each other, 7th and 8th. We mentioned them, Brandon O'Henlin and Mac Shepard. Nino, these guys are veterans of the series, so I'd be willing to bet that these guys are going to try to work together to get as far up the field as they can.
Yeah, definitely. We want to definitely see what strategy they decide to use. I think they're both starting on the mediums, if I'm correct. I just saw there. think most of the grid is.
Most of the grid is, yeah. The top 3 starting on softs. We have a couple of hard takers as well in Brown and Schiff. We got Mangan and Sohm also on soft. We're just about to get underway here at the Circuit de Catalunya for round 3 of the rFactor 2 Formula 1 Championship. Brought to you by Apex Online Racing, Elgato, and the Stream Deck, and everyone else on our sponsors. The light's just about to go on. And it's lights out. Away we go, headed towards turn 1. It's going to... Wow, that is a clean start. And just about everyone trying to keep it going as we follow Craig Baxter in the lead with a 3 wide going into turn 1. Alfie Lawrenson coming in 4th. The 3 wide does spread out just a little bit. A couple of shuffles here and there throughout the back of the field. But it'll be Craig Baxter to take the lead with Sam Carpenter and Scott Davison rounding out the top 3.
Yep, just as I said, Alfie Lawrenson, you just watch him out. He's had a great start there. He's already taken 4 from that Max Lister there. He'll be wanting to keep the gap close between the top 3.
Oh, there's a spin. That looks like...
Liam Mangum.
Is it Liam? Yes, it is.
Yep.
And somebody else involved. Didn't quite see who that was.
Max Shepard.
Max Shepard is involved in that as well. Liam able to recover for now, but Max Shepard looks like he's able to recover. We'll have to see as we move through the race on the mediums. Let's take a look at the standings. Go ahead.
It was yeah, I was just looking at the replay. It was a bump between Liam and another car. I think it was it was Ben Lauman, I think it was. Had a contact there, and Max Shepard was basically just coming in trying to pass them both and just got collected by the spin from both of those cars. So through no fault of his own, he just unfortunately got into that.
Ouch. Lap 1 is complete, and taking a look at the Sabre of Sam Carpenter, rattling it around through turn 1. Lap 1 has been completed, and Craig Baxter has not gapped Sam Carpenter at all. That is kind of surprising. Usually, Baxter has about a second or so around the first lap, but you can see Carpenter having a little bit of issue with the rear tire. The rear tires, I should say, just breaking loose. Scott Davison also looming in the background, but it looks like Carpenter has a lot of speed through Sector 2. Lots of racing in the midfield. James Costello got passed by Max Lister and Brandon O'Henlin. So he's away from his teammate. That also puts him... well, I should rephrase that. Max Shepard, the other Vulcan, was collected in the lap 1 incident as we make our way around Catalunya. Philip Kraus finds himself in 9th place, trying to get around Morgan Sohm. Kraus, the other Sabre driver, at least for now, sitting in 9th place. You can see having a bit of an issue trying to get around the chicane there. He's always had a little bit of an issue with the rear end, whether it be under braking or throttle. I think that's more or less because of those heavy American feet. I should know, I'm American.
I think it was Scott Davison there currently saying this fastest lap of the race, so obviously you want to keep in touch with the top 2. Obviously Sam Carpenter right behind Craig Baxter there. Those 3 still in there. Alfie Lawrenson just keeping in touch with those, and then kind of got a wider gap to the rest of the field.
The rest of the field been running generally nose to astern, if you will. Great run here by Max Lister, managing to keep it in the top 5. And well done in the North-South racing machine. But O'Henlin is starting to breathe down his neck. O'Henlin, all he needs to do is just keep close. I think there will be a pass once DRS becomes active. That should be here in the next lap. But it's definitely shaping up to be quite the race between 5th all the way down to 9th, it looks like.
Yeah, that's just like you said. DRS is just going to be available right at the end of this lap. So Brandon obviously wants to get ahead as quick as possible, but just needs to be patient for a bit. The overtake will come for him.
Baxter setting the fastest lap at a 1:21.9. I think Craig is probably going to open it up a little bit more, trying to make sure that the The gap is enough to make sure there is no pass under DRS, but Morgan Sohm passed by Philip Kraus, still threatening though. Kraus finally making his way past. It looks like he's carrying a ton of speed through turn 3, but he's got to transition that into turn 4 here. As Repsol has been known to bite people before, you just got to be super careful. As the turn goes up the hill, it starts to lose its camber, and so it kind of feels like the front's going to fall away as you accelerate out of there. You just got to be very careful, and it's something that Kraus, I think, is going to have to make sure he keeps in mind. It looks like he's definitely gapping Morgan Sohm at this point. Taking a look back at the front here. Sam Carpenter keeping pace generally with Craig Baxter. Is within a second. DRS is open now.
So you definitely got the queue of cars right behind Max Lister. Starting off with Brandon, he's going to get DRS, followed by the cars behind him. See if he can get the overtake done. Probably not in this corner. Probably have to wait for one more lap to get that achieved.
As we go on board with Brandon O'Hanlon, just having a look at Max Lister. O'Hanlon washing out. That goes way wide. Can't enter the track yet. He's going to lose a little time there. But that's what we were talking about coming through Renault. You just got to be super careful. Make sure you understand that you might have to drag the brake just a touch to make sure you can get through at the fastest pace possible when you have someone in front of you. Just got to make sure that the balance of the car is good, especially when you don't have any downforce in that front wing. We'll head off to the track view, but no real position change other than Phil Kraus passing Morgan Sohm, and that's it. That was for 8th place, but it's been a pretty standard affair here in Spain. That's a little surprising to me, you know. I kind of expected a lot more passing, even in the first 5 laps.
Yeah, but I think people are trying to be cautious. I think definitely people want to, try and go into the first pit stop. Just without any incident. Obviously, we had the incident between Liam Mack and Laumann earlier. But just want to, be patient. Obviously, Catalunya is a very tough place to overtake. We see Morgan Sohm there retaking 8th from Philip Kraus as well there. So that'll make that 2 overtakes between the two.
Six laps completed of 46, and I mentioned the yellow flag marker on the tower, and just a bit of a note, it is, and for those who missed it earlier, it is incorrect as far as it being sector 1. That's a bug in the track. That's not a bug in the tower. So next race it should show properly, based off of everything that I've heard about the testing and things like that. So guys, if you have any suggestions, please feel free to throw them up into the chat. I do have chat open, and yes, you're right, Nayun, that was Keselowski, Brad Keselowski at Talladega. Oh my God, it had me laughing when I watched the replay. But we've been kind of following Philip Kraus around the track. He's having some entrance issues, actually, more than anything else, in just about all of the corners where you're under hard braking, and I think that right there is just culminating into the problems he's having coming into the chicane. We're about to watch that right now. He's able to keep it pretty tidy that time, but the exit out of there seems to be bugging him as well. It's just the slow corners, Nino, that are so tricky. Kraus trying to size up Sohm for a potential pass here going into turn 1. Diving to the inside. He's got to make it stick through the exit, though. That's the hard part through here. Sohm got showing a lot of speed through turn 1, and now through Repsol. Going a little wide. No, actually, that was well executed by both drivers. Well done. A good pass by the Sabre of Philip Kraus, but now he's under attack here. Sohm does not want to let him go at all.
He's been battling out it throughout the race so far, the first 6 laps, and expect them to keep the battle going until the first pit stops. Just like I was trying to say earlier, Catalunya is very tough track to get overtakes done. You really have to be patient and pick your opportunities at the right time. If you get too impatient at times, you may cause an incident, or you may destroy your tires as well.
see Kraus, once he gets the power to go down properly, he's able to gap Sohm quite a bit. A lot of that comes from experience. Kraus normally very, very fast through the more flowing tracks, actually. Places like Spa is usually pretty quick. And believe it or not, USA, super fast at the COTA circuit. Sohm looking threatening. Oh, near block. That was dangerous. Oh, Kraus thought he might be able to have a little bit of room, but then he saw Sohm there at the last second and decided not to go for it. A bit of a twitch. Oh, and sideways now. Heating up those rear tires. Sohm's going to be able to close the gap again. Next lap should be very interesting as we make our way through the front stretch.
Yes, we see Liam Mangum is taking his first pit stop. I don't know if that was for... It's a kind of a long pit stop, so I don't know if it was that he had the slight damage from his earlier incidents. So that's just him for the start. Probably very early pit stop, so I don't know if that will switch his strategy maybe to a free stop. Who knows?
Yeah, he might have to. He's been in there for a little while, so it looks like he's getting some repairs done. And, you know, he's got fresh mediums on, so he'll be going for as long as he can. Definitely not going to make the 38 laps remaining in the Spanish Grand Prix. Let's take a look a little bit ahead, as Brandon O'Henlon's been on Max Lister pretty much this whole race. Lister showing a decent amount of speed here, manages to get himself into the top 5 for now, but O'Henlon has not been able to really catch up here. It looks like he's running just a little bit too much front wing, because you can see the gap go down a little bit later on in the front stretch, which is telling me that Lister might have either cranked up his fuel. He's probably running a little bit more fuel than O'Henlon, but O'Henlon either has cranked his fuel down or he's decided to simply use this opportunity to save fuel for later. It's hard to tell.
He's definitely been on his tail throughout the race now, and he's just not been able to find the opportunity to get the overtake done. So I think Brandon might just have to give up this fight, you know, for another time until the first pit stops comes. Maybe attempt the undercut through there. But yeah, Max Lister's doing a decent enough job just to keep him behind.
We've been experimenting with this rear view, and it's shown quite a bit of context in races such as this. You can see O'Henlon dancing around just a little bit under the cornering forces, sustained cornering forces. So it looks like he's got the car set up just a little bit loose or just in the wash. This is how it's behaving. Hard to tell exactly as they make the way around the ultimate corner. And down the front stretch, you might be able to see O'Henlon close up. No, not at all. Barely a little bit there at the top end, but that's about it.
Weird. He definitely looked a little closer than on right there in this lap than he did on the previous lap. So maybe he could have an opportunity there, but he decided not to. I don't know.
Meanwhile, behind them, Costello is starting to get caught up by Philip Kraus and Morgan Sohm. Sohm's been able to keep the gap here to Kraus fairly reasonable, but Costello, for some reason, just hasn't been able to string the laps together, and that is causing the catch-up here by Philip Kraus. Team Tepa having a decent run through the championship thus far. Obviously still trying to get used to everything, but Costello and Lorenzen teaming up this time out. Lorenzen sitting
Brandon's
in
right on the...
I'm sorry?
Brandon Hendon's right in the back of Max Lister now. Maybe should probably see if he can get it done on this lap. I don't know, because he definitely looks way closer than the previous laps when he was getting DRS of him, but not really having an attempt there. As if he's Sam Carpenter and Scott Davidson going into the pits.
Those soft tires only lasting 11 laps. Kind of expected that. You know, Craig Baxter staying out. Pass Brandon O'Henlon onto the inside into turn 1. Max Lister's going to have to yield that position, but now Lister might be able to attack. Oh, O'Henlon just cranked up the wick, it looks like.
Yeah, Brandon's... I think he's run out of patience now. I think he's not going to keep... he's not going to stay behind Max for any longer. He wants to get ahead and, you know, pull out a gap as much as he can ahead of his pit stop.
Move just a little bit behind them. I thought there might be a pass happen there, but Kraus and Sohm getting pretty close to Costello. Kazi here looks like he's getting a little bit loose. Might not quite have the setup the way he likes it, or just obviously not quite used to it so far. I mean, sitting in 5th, not bad, as Davison fell down to 11th. He was in the pits. There was another pit caller, I believe you said.
Both Sam Carpenter and Scott Davison.
Okay, so Carpenter drops down to 9th. And Scott Davison dropping down to 11th. So,
Craig Baxter is also now into the pits as well.
Okay, let's see how he comes out of the pits. Looking for Lawrenson. There he is. Alfie Lawrenson taking the lead. Baxter falling down the order. That'll be 4th place now. Costello should be catching up here soon and bring along the rest of the pack. So let's just keep an eye on Baxter if we can. Craig looks like he's going to fall into 8th place. He's going to have a bit of a run, but he comes out on mediums. We kind of expected that, Nino, in the speculation before the race. Soft to medium looks like it's going to be the way to go.
Yeah, just quick things. Philip Schiff is retired. I just saw his replay a while ago.
Okay. We had a spin right in front of the leader, or who was the leader at least. That was Evan Rice in the Sabre Junior car. Let's have a look at that replay. If I can get over to the thing. Here we go. Let's having a look at the replay here. Evan Rice, a spin in front of Craig Baxter. Has to be a bit of a pucker moment there. Coming out. Oh, he just had to check up. Yeah, and he braked late. He braked while he was on the grass. That is a tough thing to watch as we head back to live. Evan Rice falling down to 11th. We have O'Henlin into the pits from 3rd. And he's falling down the order as well. Baxter looking for a pass. Potential 3 wide here with the 2 Sabre vehicles. Manages to nab one of them. That was Sam Carpenter. And now he's got Philip Kraus in front of him. Krause, known to be an aggressive racer. Oh, no, Carpenter looking to the inside now. Baxter trying to get back on the racing line, so it looks like weird things going on there in Baxter's head, but that's exactly not happening. It's just trying to get back to the racing line more than anything else, and Carpenter has all kinds of speed right now. It's a Sabre sandwich with a Defiance in between them. No, there's a bit of a mistake there. Yeah, Kraus went off the track.
Oh, that's unfortunate. I was just about to say, Kraus can, stay ahead of Baxter for a bit longer. Maybe Carpenter could exploit that, trying to get ahead. A bit of strategy call between those 2 cars. But unfortunately for Kraus, he spun behind.
And behind that pairing, got Davison and Kraus were battling. Davison comes out the victor going around the hairpin as we make our way into the final part of the lap. James Costello now under attack from Craig Baxter and Sam Carpenter. Let's have a look behind. Never mind. Baxter already looking for the pass, and Carpenter trying to draft his way through. He's got the slipstream plus DRS just to the inside. Had a look inside Baxter, but that's not going to work this time around as they slots in behind Baxter. The other Defiance car, Scott Davison, provisional 3rd, it seems like. I take that back. Costello was kind of involved in that as well. But it's Alfie Lawrenson and Max Lister at the head of the field for now. Costello falling to the other Defiance car in Scott Davison. Wow, that was quite the sequence of events.
Yeah, that was definitely Sam Carpenter's probably best opportunity to go and get a pass on Baxter there. He came into the pits a lap earlier, and he almost got a potential undercut done there by the help of Philip Kraus keeping him behind. That was an entertaining little battle there. Fortunately, he couldn't get it done. I expect now Baxter to try and open the gap now.
Well, he's still got to contend with Max Lister and Alfie Lawrenson at the front of the field. So we'll have to see when Lawrenson and Lister decide to come in. They were on the medium compound tires, Baxter on the hards, as well as Carpenter. So it looks like it's a soft, hard run. I don't know if the hards can last all the way through the race, as Baxter gets another fast lap. Wow, on the harder compound too. That's saying something.
You get to see that James Costello has come into the pits as well. I think when he got past by those that freeway battle there, I don't know if he was pulling over just to say I don't want to get in the way between this battle between the potential leaders, or if he had a problem. But he's coming to the pits now. He's changed to the, I think, the hard tires. That is, yeah, it is.
Bit of a fight for the lead here. Max Lister and Alfie Lawrenson starting to duke it out a little bit. Lawrenson going a little wide, going through Kempsa. It should be a pretty close battle, but you can see both the Defiant and the Sabre behind them starting to catch up. It's a tough call as to when these mediums are going to fall off. But on the harder compound, it looks like at least at the beginning of the stint, they seem to be a little bit faster. Lawrenson peeling off into the pits. That's going to promote Lister into the lead. For the first time this season, Max Lister takes the lead, but you can see the championship leaders are behind him.
If anything, Max Lister can do is he can pull out extra laps on the stint of tires. We can see him. We saw in Melbourne, he managed to complete that race on one stop when everybody else is doing 2 and 3 stops. So he can definitely etch out a bit more grip on these set of mediums before he comes in.
Let's go on board with Sam Carpenter and have a look at Baxter. The Sabre rocking the cancer awareness, his breast cancer awareness there on the nose of the car. I never got the chance to ask what exactly that was about, but it's still pretty cool to see it, at least from this onboard. But it looks like Carpenter able to match Baxter fairly well here throughout the rest of the lap, even when there is no DRS. DRS is active through here, though. Got to nail that braking point. That's more or less a catch-up point, and then Carpenter needs to keep it clean through here. Tough to do. Ooh, nearly runs wide. Carpenter trying to make sure he stays as close as he can to Craig Baxter. Potential for the lead here. They do still have to get past Max Lister, but both of these guys have caught up to the leader. Lister should be heading into the pits here soon. Yes, he does right now.
Yes.
So that will promote Baxter and Carpenter back into the lead, and I believe everyone just about has pitted for tires. Yeah, that will be confirmed here in just a quick second, but you can see Carpenter just cannot get close enough to Craig Baxter to challenge for the lead on the front stretch, even with DRS. Baxter definitely going to try to open up the gap now.
I don't know if Sam Carpenter had a mistake early on in that lap. He was definitely much closer than from what I saw. So right at the end of that lap, I don't know if he had a small mistake that he couldn't exploit the usage of DRS there to get closer. But I think Craig Baxter is now a bit in more of his comfort zone with these hard tires, so he'll be starting to pull away.
Costello and Kraus battling it out for 7th place. We also have a bit of a battle for 5th and 4th. That's Lister versus Lawrenson, but Costello putting the screws to Phil Kraus. Kraus did have a bit of an incident earlier, so I don't know if his tires are a little bit messed up, but Costello on the hards and Kraus on the mediums. So it's really just up to Costello if he wants to try to make a pass or if he wants to wait for those mediums to go away. That said, it doesn't look like they're holding each other up too much. I don't think Costello has much more speed than Philip Kraus, at least at this particular juncture. We'll have to see as the race wears on. We'll keep an eye on that battle as well. Nino, take us through Lawrenson and Lister.
Well, as I say, Lister actually got position through the pit stops on Lawrenson because Lawrenson was ahead beforehand. So he's got past there. Obviously, Lawrenson got past Lister right at the start of the race. But Lawrenson now right behind him with DRS open. Will he attempt to pass? He tries and he does. He achieves that very well. I thought he may have left the move on too late there, but he kept the braking late. And he's been rewarded with 4th place now.
Well done indeed. That was a perfect pass. Can't ask for much better than that. Lister has to be able to make sure he doesn't overheat those tires, make sure they last as long as they can, and maybe that's what was going on. So Lawrenson has been known to keep the tires under the car for a decent amount of time. Lister getting a little bit of a lesson there as he slots into 5th.
Oh, that's Brandon O'Henlon in the pits. He had a moment earlier. He's lost his wing. He lost his front wing earlier. I don't know what happened there, but he's coming to the pits for a second time.
Let's see if we can
that's a shame for him.
Figure out what happened there. Yeah, unfortunately, the replay only goes back to when he came into the pits, so let's move away from that. As Lister and Lawrenson still battling it out. We do have a bit of a battle for 12th place. As Liam Mengen in the other North-South Racing machine taking on David Brown. No points implications here unless both of these guys can catch up to Max Shepard and Sam Rowlett, who are fighting for 10th place.
Also, sorry to interrupt. Max Lister's going to make a move on Alfie Lawrenson there with the DRS open. He's retaken 4th place. A great move from him. Alfie defended the inside. Max Lister just switched back to the outside. Got the move done early before the corner.
Let's have a look at that replay. So the replay starts as they make their way around the final part of the track. Through the final corner, Lister opening up DRS right there. I see what you mean. Lawrenson defending the inside, but you can't make the move back to the outside. That would have been illegal. And Lister able to just motor around the outside like that. It was a fantastic drag race. Well done by both drivers. .28 laps to go. And it's definitely been an entertaining race all around. A couple of battles still going on. Carpenter decently close to Baxter. We still have the Max Shepard versus Sam Rowlett for 10th place. Rowlett, of course, in 10th place at this particular moment, but it looks like Mac has decided to back off a little bit, but I have a feeling the battle between Lawrenson and Lister is definitely not over. But I would wonder if they would much rather try to draft each other and, get in each other's slipstream and try to catch up to Scott Davison, to then duke it out for a podium. At least that would be my thinking. It doesn't look like they're holding each other up, but if they can just get in line.
Oh, Max Shepard and Sam Rowlett having a bit of a contact there. I think Max Shepard had the DRS on Rowlett. He tried to make the move in the inside and wouldn't pull out Sam Rowlett, and I think they had a little bump there between the tires.
Let's have a look.
Shepard's staying behind there.
Yeah, taking a look at the replay right now. We go 30 seconds, or go back 30 seconds in time. There's the DRS open for Mac. Shepard, Rowlett. Oh, Rowlett wasn't sure if Shepard was going to be there. That was tough to see in the mirrors. Then go through turn 2. Oh, there definitely was a touch. That was unmistakable, but it looked like it was actually Shepard who turned into Sam Rowlett. But they did correct, and I doubt there was any damage. If there was probably minimal. And, that's not something we usually see. Usually you see the outside guy having a bit of an issue, a washout or something, collecting the outside guy. We head back up. There's a pit caller coming out of the pits there in front of Alfie Lawrenson and Max Lister. We have a bit of a race here between Costello and Phil Kraus. They were pretty close there. Yes, they are still. Kraus takes over 7th place. I believe that was a pass. Kraus going very wide. Oh, and he spun into the wall, losing both wings. He immediately escapes. Let's take a look at that replay as soon as I can get back to it. We end up on the front stretch. We're going to see the pass here. Actually, maybe not. I take that back. Yeah, so Philip Kraus trying to come into turn 1. Looking okay. The back end stepping out just a little bit. It's on the gas just a little bit too much. Coming through Repsol. Just goes to the outside. Gets collected in the marbles. That very slippery surface on the apron of the track just caught him out hard and slammed him into the wall. That was absolutely brutal. Ouch. You hate to see that, Nino.
Yeah, it's a weird moment for him. He definitely went wide there, and on that curve, and trying to correct that, just lost the rear end and just went straight into the wall. It's unfortunate for him, but it's a retirement for Philip Cross.
Those of you in the chat, how do you like the replay feature? We're trying to feature that as much as possible. I don't have anything cool to show that we are technically on replay, so you do have to listen to it. Guys, give us your opinion in the chat if you can. Or, you know, don't. It's cool. It's a free country. I hate when people
I think also
do that.
Scott Davison, I think that was Scott Davison going into the pits there a second time. He's switched to hard tyres now, and he's fallen behind the battle between Max Lister and Alfie Lawrenson.
Okay, well, that's interesting. Didn't he come out on mediums?
I thought he did. And he started on softs, and he came out on mediums. I don't know what's happened there.
That is a little odd. I wonder if the track is just heating up the tire a little bit too much. As you see Lawrenson dip a tire off of the curb. Davison catching up just a little bit here. But, yeah, that is really weird. I'd have to talk to him a little bit later, try to figure out what happened with that. But this is pretty much the race on the track at this time. Davison and Lawrenson battling for 4th place. Lister has slot himself into 3rd, but he's being caught up by these two. And we've seen Lister and Lawrenson battle it out before, so we'll have to see as the race motor's on. Davison got the DRS open, a potential pass here. Yeah, going to go to the inside. Lawrenson not even going to battle that one out. And it looks like Davison cranked up the boost a little bit to try to make sure the pass happened properly. The Team Tepa fans in the chat not reacting to it. I'm surprised. As Davison looks like he'll be challenging Lister here quite shortly, in fact.
Davison definitely one that gets ahead of Max Lister as quick as he can. Just so he doesn't want to, lose any time between these cars. Oh, that was very late there. Very weird. Don't know if Max Lister just didn't see Scott Davison trying to make a pass or something, or if Scott left his braking there late. We almost went straight into the back of him.
That was definitely close. We went on board just right as that was happening. Davison, rounding the final bend, should have a run on Lister here.
And that's Sab Carpenter just coming out of the pits as well.
Davison just going to motor around Lister at that particular point, and that's sorted. Okay. So we have the two Defiance cars in the top 3. You got Sam Carpenter right in the middle of them in 2nd place, and that will put Max Lister into 4th, and Alfie Lawrenson has actually backed off of this battle. But I'm pretty sure Lawrenson will still want to try to battle Lister for 4th.
Just want to see when Craig Baxter will want to come into the pits for his second stop. Because how long? But is he on the hard tires?
Yeah, he's on the hards.
Oh, he's on the hard, so he probably can go a little longer.
He should be able to go. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Sam Carpenter and Scott Davison were on the mediums there. So he should be able to go a little longer. Don't know if Sam Carpenter will want to try and close the gap there. Maybe an undercut opportunity is possible.
Well, according
with
to
the newer tires.
According to our screens, the Carpenter is on hards. The only ones on mediums are.
No, I was just saying his previous stint was on
previous
mediums.
stint, yeah. Well, that's a good point. So those tires should be fresher, is what you're saying for Carpenter.
Yeah.
Hard to tell. I mean, the gap is fairly large, 23 seconds. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough go. We have passed the halfway point here at the Spanish Grand Prix. Morgan Soom and it's like Costello? No, not Costello. Evan Rice actually on the mediums at this point. So they're definitely going to need to come in again for another set of tires. I would assume that those are going to be softs and try to run as hard as they can to the end of the race. But Baxter right now leading Sam Carpenter by 22 and some change seconds. That's going to be a tough ask. Baxter will just slip into his normal routine and just try to keep that gap more than anything else. Having a look at Max Lister. There might be a little bit of a race there between him and Davison, but Davison has opened up the gap. DRS not active for them anymore. Oh, there's a huge crash. Evan Rice lost the front wing. Luckily, it's right in front of the pits. Let's have a look at that replay as Rice is going to go into the pits. It's replay time. And once it loads up, and you can see the Rookie Monsters car behind him having the DRS open, closing up the gap. And as we make our way, what I like to call that the carousel. It's not actually a carousel. It's Max Sabadell. Oh, yeah. Was that under braking?
I think that was under braking, and he was ahead of Sam Rowlett, so it wasn't any move to the fender position.
Very, very weird.
It must have been on his own.
Must have been some weird braking maneuver. Back end stepped out on him. Tough break there for Evan Rice in the Sabre Junior car. That's a little unfortunate, but he'll come back out on track in 12th place. He'll be trying to salvage as much as he can. He'll have to catch up to Sven Laumann and Liam Mangan. Which could be a big ask. Well, he's only 6.2 seconds behind, so he might be able to do that by the end of the race. Hopefully, he'll be trying to get into the points. Liam, sitting in 10th, will be awarded last points, assuming he finishes there. The North-South squad having a decent run, it looks like. Liam sitting in 10th. Max Lister up in 4th. So, up till now, Liam, he's had a couple of issues, but I'm pretty sure he's going to be trying to move up the order as much as he can, but he's got quite the gap to fill as well, so I don't know if that's actually going to be able to happen for him.
I think the gap between him and the rest of the fields is a bit too large for that to happen. I think they're still on the second stint of tyres. That probably will be coming to an end. So there will be some more pit stops coming in very soon.
So you're thinking the whole field's going to have to stop again, even with the hard tires?
Don't know about because they did. How many laps have they done on these set of tyres? They've already done like 6 or 7 laps, and there's still 19 to go, so it'll be very big, it'll be marginal, I think. But yeah, probably everybody behind Scott Davidson definitely coming in for one more stop.
See if I can figure that out quickly. Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly when they pitted. Unfortunately, I don't have that information in front of me. Tony Mella in chat lost his rice bag. Ouch. That's brutal. I'm gonna tell him.
Okay,
later.
so it was lap 21 that Scott Davidson pitted for these sets of hard tires.
Okay,
so he's asking to do 24 laps. And Sam Carpenter pitted lap 23, so we're doing 22.
Okay, so that's the question. We haven't really seen much of the hard tire in racing action, so we'll have to see how long they'll last. Will they last the rest of the way? I mean, they could. The mediums lasted a good, 15, 20 laps?
Yeah, and just comparing, Craig Baxter pitted on 11 for these sets of hard tires. So he's on 17 laps now on these set, and I think his times are starting to fade away. So I don't know if he'll be, asking for maybe a pit stop now so he can put another set of hards to go to the end of the race. Definitely doesn't want to lose any more time compared to Sam Carpenter.
But you said Sam pitted later on, right? Because he started on the mediums, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Okay, so the end of the race should be fantastic. But yeah, it does look like Baxter is losing a little bit of time to Carpenter for now. But I wonder if that's also because Baxter might just be backing off a little bit because he has such a large gap. And maybe saving the fuel for when he...
Oh, he's just coming in now.
Oh,
so,
he is.
yeah, that's the answer.
Okay, so Baxter into the pits. The race leader's in the pits now. Carpenter going to close this up as he makes... We'll take a look at Carpenter. He's on the final corner right now. Baxter should be exiting the pits here quickly. Let's see where Craig ends up. We're having a look at Sam Carpenter.
Carpenter's got this.
Wow. Okay. Now, it comes down to Carpenter. He's going to have to put the gap. It's got to be a larger gap than it was. I think it was, 14 or 15 seconds when Craig went into the pits?
Yep.
So, Carpenter's going to need, 23, 24 seconds? I don't think that's going to happen.
No, I am trying to think that will he go to the end of the race on these set? I don't think he can. It's too far. So yeah, I would predict, unless Sam can look after them, hugely, he will make another stop. Oh, and then, he's just gone off there.
Oh, and he spun. There was a rookie monsters on the inside of the hairpin. Baxter goes right by him. Sam Carpenter was surprised. I don't know exactly who that was at the inside of La Caixa. That's... Oh, and now he's off the track. Let's see who that is. That's Sam Rowlett. No. That was
And that's Brendan O'Hanlon.
That was Sven Laumann, who's now coming into the pits. Looks like those tires just absolutely fell off. Already has some damage. Let's see if we can go on board and have a look. Hard to tell from there. Oh, no, wrong one. This one. No, I think the tires are fried.
Wow. It's just quick. How quickly can all that change?
Yeah, no kidding. Baxter back into the lead.
Yeah, we were having this conversation about the different strategies that these two drivers were taking. What could happen until the end of the race, and that all blows away by Carpenter's small mistake there.
Well, I mean, he had a car stuck on the inside of that corner too. So, and then you get on the outside of this particular track, especially this track, the outside of the track, any section of the track is just so slippery. So, yeah, that's just getting on the paint right there. Oh, that's just brutal. But Carpenter might... I mean, he still has a chance. He's fairly close, but I mean, already Baxter has opened up a 2-second lead, 2.5-second lead.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
And he's on tires that are 8 laps younger. So I just think that the error there's, if there was any question about what could happen in the race, I don't think there's that question's up there anymore.
But Carpenter has other issues now as Scott Davison, and it looks like Max Lister has actually caught up to Scott Davison here for second place. So Carpenter, I'm sorry. Davison might have a chance here to secure a higher spot on the podium, but Max Lister's also eyeing a podium. And so as the race winds on, we got 15 laps to go. That said, Carpenter does have the fastest lap of the race with a 1:20.5. So Carpenter's got pace. The better question is, can Davison actually catch him? I don't know, but there is a definite chance here that the Defiance race team could lock out the top two. We haven't seen that here at AOR. We haven't seen a team lock out the top two positions ever in 2 seasons and a couple of races. So we could be seeing a momentous history-making moment Yeah, that was great. That was fantastic calling. Good lord.
Who knows? I think obviously because Davison has, I think he pitted 1 or 2 laps earlier than Carpenter, so he has a slightly older tires than him. So I don't know if they'll both want to come in and make a third pit stop. If maybe their tires up away at the end.
Baxter just set the fastest lap of the 119.999. Very German of him to secure that. I believe there are extra points in that. 32 laps complete here at the Spanish Grand Prix. You're watching Apex Online Racing. My name is Curtis Kenyon. With me today is Nino. I always forget your actual name, dude.
My full name's Andres Nino, but nobody calls me by my first name just because Nino is it's easier to remember.
Fair enough. All right, so Nino it is.
So Nino is fine.
You are the mysterious, singularly named commentator here at AOR. And I like it. All part of the experiment.
Yep.
Here on the rFactor 2 side of things. Just saw Max Shepard lose a position to Morgan Sohm. That was for 8th place. I think he went into the pits. Davison looking very menacing here in Sam Carpenter's mirrors, though. The Defiance car handling nicely in the slipstream. Make a way through the final
Then Lauman's coming in to retire.
He's retiring. Oh,
yes,
he did. I don't see a reason reported. And he just DNF'd.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a pass. Carpenter getting passed by Scott Davison. We were on board for that down the front stretch. Now the Defiance racing cars have locked out the top 2.
Oh, Alfie Lawrenson's retired. He's gone off. What's happened to him?
Was there a crash there? Let's have a look if I can catch up to the.
I don't think there was a crash. I don't think there was a crash. I don't know.
He did go off the track. Unfortunately, my replay is not quite catching all of that. Yeah, I'm only catching the retirement.
Yeah. I only caught he went off and then it just switched to the pits. I don't know what happened to him.
It looks like there may have been a crash. Unfortunately, the only thing I can see is that he DNF'd, and that's it. Is he an off track? Possible pass. Not going to happen this time. Carpenter trying to fill up Davison's mirrors. Trying to make Scott Davison a little bit nervous, but Carpenter looking racy indeed. Let's go on board. Actually, you know what? Let's go on board with Scott Davison and have a look from behind. Oh, it's getting close. There should be a pass here. Oh, no, take that back. Carpenter's diving into the pits.
That's early. That's definitely early. I just think he had problems earlier from him when he went off the track.
There's another pit caller as well.
Yeah, I just think, just like my questioning earlier, I don't know. I think he's decided he just can't make the end of the race on these set of tires, so he decided to just come in now, put a set of mediums on. That will take him to the end of the race, and maybe that will be the best chance for him to catch on second past Scott Davison.
Well, he'll also have to get by Max Lister, who takes over 3rd place. But the big story here is that the Defiance race team has taken over the top 2 spots here at the Circuit de Catalunya. I have to admit, I am a little surprised. Scott Davison showing a ton of speed, though. That's not a surprise. It's just a matter of the Defiance cars both being at the top of the order with 12 to go. Big old PogChamps in the chat. Oh, wait, this isn't Twitch. You can't do that, huh? My bad.
Just want a word of Max Lister. He's on a set of hard tires that are going on 20 laps now. So he's finding grip on tires that the other drivers are just not able to. So full on him. He's gonna take 2nd place. Got Scott Davison is also coming to the pits as well. He's gonna copy the same strategy as Carpenter. He's not gonna give him any laps to attempt an undercut on. Though I think Sam Carpenter might just pull ahead. It might be very close.
Looks like it. Carpenter at the end of the front stretch. He will pass Scott Davison. Davison's got to get his tires up to temperature. Davison, I believe, yes, he has. No, he came out on softs. So those softs have to last 11 laps now. Well, we saw Craig
That's
do it.
Yeah. That's weird. Well, that's very weird from Scott Davison. He decided he can achieve 10, 11 laps on soft tires. I've seen it's possible, but that's a big ask now. It could cost him right at the end.
But meanwhile, Carpenter went out on mediums. I guess it's all going to come down to when Lister has to come in. I don't think his tires are going to last all that long. He's not as good on tires as the more experienced drivers. That said, unless he found something within his setup or within how he attacks these corners, he has been pretty lenient. Oh, big spinner. That was the other north-south. That's Liam Mangan. Manages to get away safely.
The duality of a team there. One driver second place passing the other teammate who just spun.
No kidding, huh? Liam having a bit of a rough go, but he finds himself between third and fourth place now. He's going to have to make sure he watches those blue flags. He has had penalties for that before when he first started racing here. That would have been at Baku. Yeah, he's going to let Davison by. It's a good move. Got a bit of a race here for 7th place, too. Morgan Sohm versus Mac Shepard. The Vulcan trying to get past the stock AOR car of Sohm. Should be a pass here. Yep, right down the front stretch. And Sohm diving into the slipstream, trying to make sure he doesn't get too far ahead of him. That's a good move. They make their way around Renault and into Repsol. It will be Morgan Sohm who is being gapped at this particular point. It looks like Mac has found himself a little bit of speed. They're both on mediums at this point as well.
And Max has decided enough's enough. He's going to come into the pits for his second stint. So Sam Carpenter will retake 2nd place and Scott Davison will retake 3rd.
Okay. There you go. There's the answer for you. 9 to go.
It's impressive from Max Lister. He's done 21 laps on that set of hard tires, so it was an impressive run.
That's actually impressive. We should note that down for future races because this is the first time we have seen hard tires being used in a race. We've seen all 3 compounds being used by various drivers, so definitely some interesting takes on how to attack this track, and the top 5 have attacked it all differently as well. So well done to all the drivers for doing their research and making sure to get some practice in. But a huge kudos to Max Lister for putting in this is an astounding performance, but he's got quite the gap to try to catch 3rd place if he wants to ruin Scott Davison's day. Yeah, about 40 seconds. That's quite a bit. I don't know, Nino. What do you think? Lister can do it, maybe? 40 seconds in 8 laps?
Don't know about 40 seconds. Is that to the lead?
No, that's to Scott Davison in 3rd place.
Is it? Because I'm seeing 14 seconds, 1-4. Or am I looking at a different?
Oh wait a minute. Yeah, it's refreshing for me. Make that 22 seconds now.
Okay. I don't know about 22 seconds, considering they're both on the same compound. Obviously, Lister's is 1 or 2 laps younger, so maybe he can. I don't know if he can pull off that miracle, but he definitely can close in.
James Costello into the pits. He'll lose 5th place to Sam Rowlett. Potentially another position as well. Yeah, Kazi losing another one. He'll fall to 7th place. There goes 8th. Kazi having a great race. He's coming out on the soft tire as well. We'll see if he'll be able to move up the field a touch. Scott Davison and Sam Carpenter, though, are within a second of each other. Carpenter got around Davison. Davison went into the pits, if I'm not mistaken. But now he might be able to attempt to close this up. He has the softer compound, and with 7 laps to go, there's plenty of time for that to happen. It's all going to come down to if Davison can get within DRS range, which I think he might be. Oh, not yet. Possibly the next lap. We'll have to see. But Davison having a heck of a run. This is a massive improvement for him.
I do want to say, Sam Rowlett, he's gone up to fifth. I don't know when he pitted it. He made his pit stop for these set of hard tires, but he's on one stop. So these set of tires, I don't know if he can make the end of the race. He's got what's the gap between him and Max Shepard in sixth? It is not that much.
It's about 15.
But
8 seconds.
15 seconds. Yeah, about 8 seconds. He's got to last another 6-7 laps.
It's gonna be quite the push.
Yeah.
That could be a race that unfolds as we move through.
It'd be impressive if he can do it. He's on one stop, so he's been doing the max. This is a strategy in terms of pushing these tires to the limit. So impressive from him as well.
Rookie Monster Squad. I know they have a lot of resources at their disposal. These guys, well, on the endurance side at least, has a lot of experience in car setup and how to read telemetry and things like that. So they're probably starting to utilize that as they begin to get used to this car and how it looks through the telemetry, and being able to tune the car to a certain way that allows for either tire wear, or they're able to conserve less, conserve fuel. I was going to say use less fuel. But I don't know if they've been able to implement that much here in this particular series yet, but with it being only the third race that Rookie Monsters have been in here, this is a fantastic showing here for Sam Rowlett, who is now pretty solidly in 5th place. But like you said, those tires could be falling off here any moment now. And once that happens, it's going to be up to Sam to figure out if he needs to pit, or if he is going to just take it easy and get to the end of the race. 6 laps to go now. There's a bit of a drama there. We'll try to keep an eye on Sam Rowlett in the Rookie Monsters machine throughout the final stages here in Barcelona. That said, Scott Davison has been keeping an eye on Sam Carpenter. I believe the gap has fallen a little bit, but Carpenter managing to stay in 2nd place for now. Still not within DRS range. But
I think this is Davison's chance to, really close the gap to try and get that Defiant 1-2, because his soft tires are going to ebb away slowly now, because even though Sam Carpenter's on the mediums, he's going to keep the grip on those for longer. So Scott Davison needs to act now.
So we'll keep an eye on this battle as well, but basically everyone else has been fairly evenly spaced out. Really just letting the strategy come through. The start of the race a little bit more chaotic, I would say. Lots of passing, a couple of crashes here and there, but it does seem like, that... there was a massive lag there. Carpenter, screen freezes galore, at least on the spectator side. Don't usually see that, but it looks like the racers have been able to stay fairly clean, as Scott Davison has closed up on Sam Carpenter here. It's hard to tell if that was on my end or if that was server side. I don't know if you got some of those screen lockups, but it looks like Carpenter might be attacking this lap.
I didn't get the lag. I was spectating someone else, so I don't know if it probably was on this side. But Scott Davison's gonna make the move here. Sam Carpenter descends on the outside, and Scott Davison makes the move around the outside, and he does take 2nd place with 4 laps to go. It looks like it's gonna end up being the Defiance 1-2 that we've all been waiting for.
Bit of a run wide there by Sam Carpenter. That's not going to help his cause. Those tires have got to be heating up quite a bit, I would assume. If I remember correctly, if you can keep the softer tires as cool as possible, then you'll be good. But it looks like Carpenter is having to turn the car a little bit more than Davison has to, as far as the steering angle and things like that. So that might be heating up those front tires, and they got to be falling away here a little bit faster than he had hoped. But Davison, a race well done. We have a bit of a race here. Max Shepard and Sam Rowlett.
Another overtake. Costello on Morgan Soam. Costello takes 7th. There was I think Zoom was trying to defend the outside way too much, and Costello just wasn't going to have it. He's going to make the move around the outside to take that place.
We're taking a look at the replay right now. Costello setting up the pass to happen on the front stretch, it looks like. It's a great exit. Oh, they dive to the inside as well. Sohm trying to defend the inside. Costello nearly going off the track and into the pit lane to make the pass happen. I wasn't expecting that at all. Definitely an exciting time there for both of them. But if my rules reading is correct, that was a perfectly legal pass. He was still on the track. So we're taking.
I think whilst we were paying attention to that, I think Max Shepard did make the move on Sam Rowlett. Sam Rowlett's tires have surely fallen off now, so he's gonna be a sitting duck now for Costello. He's got a couple laps.
Costello and Sohm as well behind him. He got 3 to go, and Rowlett just has to keep it clean. I have to agree with you, Nino. I think these tires are just too far gone. I don't know what kind of percentage they're at, but to be honest with you, this is a great test for them, but you can see the smoke coming off of Sam Rowlett's outside front tire there. That would be the left side. So it looks like, yeah, you're right. Those tires are going to be fried. And Costello looking for a potential pass here as we go on board. Making their way down into Worth. Not going to happen here, that's for sure. They got to keep it nice and tidy. Can't make a pass through Kempsa, but they might be able to through the front stretch here. Costello has to make sure he doesn't get too bottled up. DRS is on. Oh, he's got to stick it on the inside here. Got to crank that wheel over. Manages to make it work, and I think you are right. Sam Rowlett's tires are absolutely shredded.
Yeah, I think he made a gamble with trying to go to the end of the race on these tires when I think the window to try and come in, make a second pit stop for maybe a set of softs have already gone. He made his decision to go to the end, and his decision he's probably going to regret.
Still a great outing here for the Rookie Monsters. I know that they just like to test things and see how it works out. Now Morgan Sohm, potential pass here on Sam Rowlett. Looks like he's just going to catch up here. That's probably going to happen next lap, but we have 1 lap to go. Sam Carpenter and Scott Davison still battling it out for second place. Carpenter has not relinquished at all. Baxter, though, has led this whole race. You can see Morgan Sohm and Sam Rowlett battling in front of him. Let's take a look here. Sohm following. Sam Rowlett just basically a sitting duck at this point. Had absolutely no exit speed, but Rowlett able to stay on the inside. The pass has not happened at all. This is all happening right in front of the leader as well. Rowlett kept it clean, leaving a little bit of racing room. Sohm just has so much speed through the corners. Sohm's going to have to... Uh-oh.
Oh, he's slowing down.
He slowed up.
Oh, he has to slow down to let the leader
flag
through. And
oh, the blue flag might have bit him. Baxter's right in front of these guys, though, but oh my god, this is such a good race. I don't want to tear away from it, but Craig Baxter's going to take the win. And, yeah, Sam Rowlett manages to grab 7th place. Morgan Sohm got a little bit uneasy there. Wow.
Yeah, that was a great race. Craig Baxter coming right behind them saved Sam Rowlett there because Morgan Sohm had to pull out of the way because of the blue flags, and that slowed them down right at a critical point when Morgan Sohm was probably going to make a move for the overtake.
So well done by Craig Baxter. Scott Davison and Sam Carpenter battling all race. They ended up 2nd and 3rd respectively. Max Lister, a fantastic race for North-South Racing. Manages a 4th. We got Max Shepard slotting into 5th. He hasn't quite finished yet, but the Vulcan Racing team has to be happy about that. Not to mention James Costello nabbing a 6th place. after Alfie Lawrence and his teammate DNFs having some sort of issue. A big moment here for Kazi. Fellow commentator Nino, well done. 6th place, a fantastic run.
Yeah, that's a fantastic race from Kozzy there. Yeah, it's my congratulations go out to him. That's a brilliant drive from him.
So your finishing order is going to be Craig Baxter as Kazi bringing out the donuts.
And so is Rowler as well. Rowler, I don't think you have the tires for to do that. Yes. I think they work well anyway.
I guess that's the best time to be burning them off is when they're gone, right? You can see in the background Craig Baxter, celebratory donuts as well, right on the front stretch. Don't put it in the wall. Nearly did.
Almost.
His teammate Scott Davison and Sam Carpenter coming up on him. And the celebration, first, second, third. This is an old school tradition from all three of them. Line it up right at the start line. Are they going to do it?
Don't think so.
They line it up for the picture. An old school tradition for them when this series was actually part of another organization was to do this exact move right here. The OGs do this. They line them up just like real F1. Get the photo op. And then they would do like a fat burnout. But what I think is really cool about this is all three of these guys are on different compound tires. That is a massive, massive look into just how this race went. And so that will conclude the Spanish Grand Prix here at Apex Online Racing. Don't go anywhere, though. We'll be right back with driver interviews. Baxter, Davison, and Carpenter joining us in the booth. Don't go anywhere. Our top three are here for some interviews, guys. Guys in the chat, it's been a fantastic race. Dino, we have some speculation from the chat. Manta's saying that Sam was losing time, and I believe he was talking about the Rookie Monster Sam.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense.
So yeah, I think he I think he overestimated what he could achieve on that last set of
Oh
hard
well,
tires.
wait a minute.
He could try.
There's another development. It's the
Oh,
second sim race for him. Oh my god. Are you serious? Mantis, confirm that for me, will you? I raced with Mantis was my teammate in endurance, so that's a trusted source for sure. Oh my god, fantastic. All right, let's get Scott Davison in here. Have a look. I'm gonna drag him down right now.
I think it was after
Scott.
Hello.
Oh, hello. Did I surprise you? My bad.
Yeah,
Sorry about that. Scott, you want to talk about your race?
I can do.
All right. Well, what are you feeling? What do you know? What are you seeing?
It was a pretty average race, if I'm honest. In the first stint and second stint, I struggled, and then Sam, luckily for me, had well, not an incident, but he had a scare with a back marker, so that allowed me to close up to him, and then I was able to use a different strategy to use a different tire in the last stint, and then I was able to pass him and hold him off.
So, I was just gonna ask a question about that different strategy. Was that just in response to Sam's mistake, or was it planned out as maybe a backup plan from the start?
It was in the split second because just when Sam pitted, I heard that he fit medium, and Craig told me to go on the softs, so I did that. I didn't expect to get them at the end, but I went for them and it worked. My tyres were very badly worn at the end, but it just made it, so I can thank Craig for that one.
Really? Teammate actually helped
Yeah,
you out?
yeah. Well, in the first stint, he was saving his tyres a lot, so that allowed me to stay relatively closer than I would have been. And then obviously Sam's mishap and then different tires helped me out. But luckily, I was just by the skin of my teeth able to hold him off on the last lap. So happy for that.
Oh, all right, cool, man. Well, I'll drag you up top. Thanks for that, and well done locking out the top two for Defiance.
Thank you very much.
All right, I'll get drag you up there.
See you in a bit, boys.
Sam, we got you.
Hello.
How's it going?
Tried everything, man. I tried everything.
I mean, you went on mediums, managed to nab third. You got to be happy about that.
Yeah, but I can't. I mean, obviously, I'm happy. It's the first points of the season for Sabre, the main team. So, I mean, I guess I've got to be happy, podium, all that. But I can't help feeling that I could have done a bit better, especially with the fact that I got taken out of second place. Or, well, the effective lead at that point. But yeah, I don't know. Just massive tyre wear problems again. We were talking before the race that it's probably going to be a 2-stop, 3-stop if you have to. I ended up doing a very marginal 3-stop, only just making it to the end on like the hardest compounds. So I think I wanted to run a slightly further rear brake bias during the race, and I don't think I did, and I don't have it mapped to actually change it on the fly like a lot of people do. So that's something I have to change for the next race because there was a lot of little micro lockups into the corners. Other than that,
I believe there's a keyboard shortcut for that.
yeah, it's just obviously I'm in VR as well, so I can't see
right.
my keyboard. But
yeah,
it's
for those, just to clear that up, for those who are just joining us, you've missed the end of the Spanish Grand Prix, but yeah, a lot of these guys are running VR, so a lot of the shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, it's hard to reach and hard to know where they
very
are.
sweaty faces as well.
Nino, you got anything?
Yeah, I was going to talk about that the incident with the back marker. Was that just talk us through that because that was a weird moment.
Well, at that point, I was just excited that I was maybe going to lead a lap, and I actually said to everybody on the back straight right before it happened, "Guys, I'm going to lead a lap," and and then then this guy just appeared from the left hand side. He'd spun by himself, was rejoining the track. It was a stupid, dangerous rejoin. I swerved right to get out of the way and avoided him. There was no contact made, but when I went out onto the red painted stuff on the outside, I planted the throttle down thinking it would be sort of a tarmac surface, but it's more of like an Astro surface. It's very low grip, and so I lost it on that. And those 7, 8, 9 seconds that I lost to that point obviously lost me second place. So You can put it down to that, but I put it down to the tyre wear mainly.
So to kind of fill you in a little bit, that was Sam Rowlett. It's his second ever sim race.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Trial by fire, right?
it happens. Everyone's had problems with blue flags and stuff, and I mean, getting in the way in other sessions.
Sure.
So I mean, I'm not going to hold a grudge against him, but it's something that when that happens, you've got to sort of report it, get it over and done with, and just hope they don't do it again.
There was another blue flag incident, which we'll cover a little bit later for you if you want to watch it back. And it had to do with the leader, so I was going to ask Craig about that. But yeah, well done, Sam. Fantastic race for you overall. Just
Try and do a little bit better at Baku.
A quick tidbit of information for you in case you didn't know. All three of the top runners, including yourself, obviously, were on different compounds.
Yes.
So kind of a cool thing. All right, I'll drag you up there, man. Thank you again.
Okay.
Nino, interesting take on that. The incident with Rowlett.
Yeah, that was very interesting. I didn't know that the backmarker also had a spin, and it was rejoining him that caused Sam to kind of go off there as well.
And we saw some spins with braking as well, so that it had to have been under braking. That's the hardest braking point on the track.
Yeah.
All right, let's drag Craig in here. Mr. Baxter.
Hello.
Another win for you.
Yeah. At least it was closer this time.
Yeah, I was going to say that. The pit strategies seem to have come in pretty importantly, I'd say.
Yeah, at one point I thought I was on the wrong strategy, but when I jumped on the hards at the end, I sort of realized actually, no, this is fine. I think the result wouldn't change if I 2 or 3 stopped.
All right.
I was gonna.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So, talking about that, the second stint after the first pit stop. I think Sam ended up right behind you, but I don't know if he was in a different compound, and he ended up pitting early to go on a different strategy because he had problems with tire wear. Were you a bit more? Did you feel that the tire wear was a bit more favorable for you?
Yeah, it always is against Sam. I knew first stint, as you probably could tell, I was going like extremely slow. Second stint, picked up the pace a little bit, but I sort of waited for Sam's tires to hit the cliff before I put the foot down, and the gap just kept increasing. So tire wears always seems to be my favorite against Sam.
That's kind of your thing against the field, really. The rest of the field. Any clues or anything you can figure out as to why that is?
I mean, it's mostly about being smooth. So many people, especially with newcomers as well, they're putting in far too much steering lock and thinking it's easy to go fast when you put in a lot of steering lock. It may help yourself in qualifying, but in the race, it's completely the wrong way to go because you hit thermal deg. That's the thing. Even I hit it today, a few points, and I had a few scary moments, but it's all about being smooth. And actually, instead of turning the wheel more, lifting off the throttle, and putting in less input, it sounds simple, but so many people can't do it clearly. So that's what it is. It's just being smooth.
So making sure you brake a little earlier than you would think, rolling through the corner more than anything else, all that good stuff, right? All those racing clues.
Using the throttle to turn the car, basically, or using yourself lifting off the throttle to help turn in rather than put more steering lock in.
Okay, no, that's good to know. It's good to know as a commentator as well. I know last season's car was a little bit like that, but I assume this season that's a little bit more prevalent because it seems like that's what you do almost all the time through nearly every corner. And meanwhile, we're seeing other drivers getting on the gas too early most of the time.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, I've always driven like that, and it doesn't necessarily help with the fact that the car has less front end, but the fact that no one else seems to be able to implement that the same way I do, I think it's giving me a bit of an advantage. So.
Nino?
There was the battle with. I was just thinking, thinking back, the battle with Sam when he came out with obviously in that second thing going back. Was it in your strategy to just let something happen. Just maybe if Sam does get ahead of you, just let it happen, just because you know you have that tire wear advantage on him, or
I mean,
was
I wasn't going to let him past easy, for sure. I knew he wasn't going to make it on tires, so I knew I had to pit stop on him, but I wasn't going to make it easy if he tried to come past. Phil really tried hard to keep me behind for Sam, but I was just sitting back, letting him do whatever it was he wanted to do. There was no need for me to risk it because, yeah, it wasn't worth it.
okay.
Apparently, Kazi is throbbing. Well done, everyone. Craig, I'll drag you up so we can finish up the stream. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Good job.
Cheers, guys.
Well, Nino, a lot of excited drivers, it seems like, though. A decent race by just about everyone. Had a couple of incidences here and there, but good close racing, couple touches. That's all we can really ask for from everyone. And honestly, probably, I wouldn't say it's one of the closest races, but we had some of the closest racing that we've seen pretty much since the inception of this league.
Yeah, that was interesting throughout. Obviously, there were instances maybe we could have had more of a story with battles. Maybe there were some mistakes here and there, and there was some contact that maybe prevented that. But in the end, it was interesting throughout. All the different strategies that were utilized in the end. Made it very unpredictable.
So just to round out the finishing order, you had Baxter, Davison, Carpenter in the top three. We did interview them out of order, but Max Lister getting that's a massive fourth. But Shepard, Costello, Kazi, I see you in the chat. Sam Rowlett, who apparently bottled the start. I don't believe that one bit. Morgan Soom in eighth. Evan Rice, O'Hanlon, Brown, Mengen, Lawrenson, Lauman, Kraus, and Schiff rounding out the field. A fantastic race, everyone. I want to thank you for joining us here at Apex Online Racing for the Spanish Grand Prix on the rFactor 2 side. If you guys want to check out any more racing, stay tuned to this YouTube channel. I believe there is a bit of an esports tournament going on right now on one of the other Apex Online Racing channels. Also, check us out, apexonlineracing.com. Thanks to all our sponsors, Elgato, and everyone else. My name is Curtis Kenyon. That's Nino over there. Thanks for joining me tonight, sir. It's been fantastic, and we'll see you next weekend for another rousing round of rFactor 2 racing, except that we'll be in Azerbaijan, the Baku track, the famous Mengen incident. We'll see if somebody else bottles it into the pits next week. And until next week, have a great week.